Hello everybody and welcome to today's Dragonrider happy hour. Hopefully the audio is much better today. I did not have time to troubleshoot on my Alienware X15. I'm sure there's just a setting that's off. So instead I've got my Alienware M15 today running the stream. So let me know if you can hear me okay. Jenny says, tea ready to go. The cake has gone already. Jenny, I am with you today. Instead of an alcoholic beverage, because I'm probably going to pick up Logan from school today and I don't want to drink and then get behind the wheel, I am having a fancy tea. This is like a coconut black tea that I have a little bit of milk in, and it is delightful. So that's what I'm drinking today. What are you guys drinking today? Let me know. Audio is good. Okay, perfect. I'm so glad. Let's see. Oh, Kelly McDonald has a Future Hop IPA in a Prancing Pony Stein. I love it. Perfect. I love it. Pineapple wine and chocolate, Steven. That sounds delightful as well. Jimmy's having a ginger ale. Jeff has a lychee sour tonight. Ooh, Earl Grey black tea for Rob. Lovely. Well, welcome everybody to my bar and Dragonrider happy hour. I hope that your work week has been wonderful and that you're kicking off the weekend in style. If you haven't been here for a Dragonrider happy hour before, this is where the Dragonrider community, and that's the name of the community over on Twitch, but this is really where everyone who wants to is invited to my bar to hang out and talk about the latest gaming headlines of the week. So if you're watching after the fact and just want to skip to a specific headline, you can do that. I'll chapter out this video after the stream's over. And if you're here to hang out, cheers. Because I just got a fancy tea today, bartender Nate will not be coming by for an appearance. He is working very hard with my dad to do some home upgrades that we've been not able to do through pandemic. Just little things like painting trim on closet doors and stuff like that, but that are much easier when you have a helper. So cheers to that. Jenny says, cheers to all the tea drinkers. Yes. And Andrew is having shrimp fried rice for dinner. That sounds delightful. So let's see. In topics we'll be talking about today, of course, Sony's acquisition of Bungie. We will talk about today also the future plans for PlayStation in general, plus how the FTC is responding to Microsoft acquiring Activision Blizzard, and how Nintendo feels about acquisitions. We get an official statement on that. And then we'll talk about the latest in numbers from the PS5 and Switch sales to see who's coming out on top as far as the console sales go. And then we will talk the Halo TV series trailer that came out, as well as some other random news headlines that I found out for the week. And of course, if you have anything you want to discuss, you can let me know that in chat as well. And we'll go through that because this is for all of us. Sean Gentry, they are not tackling the hole in the sink. The hole in the sink problem in my house is much larger than something we could DIY. We actually can't replace the sink unless we replace all of the kitchen countertops, which at that point we're doing like a full kitchen remodel. And we haven't really wanted to invite whole teams of construction crews to demolish our kitchen in the middle of pandemic. So hole in the sink is gonna have to stay there for a bit. Jenny, yes, yay for Dad's DIY. Indeed. Jeff says, that's so nice. I hate painting alone, right? Well, the hole's been in the sink for years. That's nothing new. We'll fix it eventually, I promise. But, you know, our money, our big reno money went to finishing this bar. As opposed to fixing the hole in the kitchen sink. So it is what it is. Anywho, let's jump into the news, shall we? So as many of you, I'm sure, saw on the internet, Sony is acquiring Bungie for $3.6 billion. And while a lot of Twitter was like, yo, that's in direct response to Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard. And true, these kind of deals take years to finish, but also Sony came out and said they've been in talks with Bungie for the past like 6 months-ish making this happen. So while it appears like it's a direct response, it is not. It's something that's been in works for a while. And following the deal, they've come out and said that Bungie will be run as an independent subsidiary of Sony and will remain a multi-platform studio with the option to self-publish and reach players where they choose to play. So for everyone that was like, oh no, Bungie title is going to be exclusive, that's appearing not to be the case, at least for now. And it will be up to Bungie, not up to PlayStation and Sony. But according to Bungie, future games in development will not become PlayStation exclusives, flatly answering that in a Q&A. And they said, we will continue to be self-published, creatively independent, and we will continue to drive one unified Bungie community. Now note, that is not to say that this will always be the case for games in the future that are not yet being considered. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But the idea and kind of what Sony said when it comes to acquiring Bungie and what Bungie said when it comes to being acquired by Sony is that Bungie is hoping to then help Sony become more multi-platform and with their future plans, etc. And Sony is, hoping to help Bungie with their future plans. That's always what they say when it comes to these acquisitions. But Bungie said they are currently developing a new IP that they hoped will become a multi-franchise company by 2025, meaning Bungie's aiming to have at least one new franchise go alongside Destiny 2, which the studio, of course, continues to develop. So my question to you, happy hour friends, is how do you think this acquisition is going to affect the future of Bungie titles, if at all? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? I like everyone that's supporting my decision of Hidden Bar over Sinkhole fix every day. Priorities. Jimmy's like, Nintendo will buy Sega? Wouldn't that be a move? Wouldn't that be a move? Let's see. Steven says, it's not a response to, but the timing does make it feel a bit like a middle finger. I guess it could be read that way. Barry in Annotation says, Nintendo wants to expand internally. They are not into buying publishing studios. I bet Xbox might have their eye on WB Games, Namco Bandai, and Sega, the big ones. Maybe indie small studios too. Maybe. I think both Microsoft and Sony are probably going to continue making acquisitions like we've seen. Let's see. Lost but loved. I don't know much about what G4 is doing. I have not been over there, but everything I have seen from them, I say yay, supporting other gaming creators. Huzzah. Bungie's not relevant, in my opinion, says Mikey510. Ooh, Destiny players would beg to differ, but I get that. Different games for different folks. Cat and Ninja says, I don't know. Sony bought Funimation and Crunchyroll and hasn't done anything with either. I wouldn't be surprised if they just bought something to let it run on its own. And that's what they're saying they're doing. And Took It Home to Jenny says, I am slightly worried about all these purchases pushing out the little ones and monopolizing, which is a very good point. And so Sony has said, as far as their future big plans, their CFO, Hiroki Totoki, and I hope I said that name correctly, said, through close collaboration with Bungie and the PlayStation Studios, we aim to launch more than 10 live service games. I roll my eyes at that. 10 live service games by the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2026. So the reason you get the eye roll from me is that for those unfamiliar with the terminology, live service games are games for which they have continued developing content. Usually these games involve in-game purchases, season battle passes, that kind of thing. But the content, it continues to be delivered, so they live on as games as a service as opposed to a one-time purchase. Now, the reason I get the eye roll to that is I'm like, Sony, you're so good at the one-time purchase, single-player, narrative, campaign games. Please don't become all games as a live service. Now, that being said, they said 10 of them by the end of the fiscal year 2026, so I'm sure they're not going to abandon single-player, narrative, campaign-driven games. But as someone who loves those single-player experiences and is not super into games as a service, it does get a slight eye roll for me. I'm very interested to hear where you, everyone in chat, stands on that. But I mean, Bungie's early investment into live service games was very successful with Destiny, has proven very well for them, and they're hoping that what Bungie has learned through Destiny, they will be able to bring to Sony moving forward. And that's kind of what I meant by Bungie helping Sony with their goals, Sony helping Bungie with their goals, etc. So fingers crossed that Sony does not abandon the we make beautiful single-player narrative games. Haswell says, slight eye roll. And Steven says, everyone wants to make the next Fortnite, but it has yet to happen. And Christopher Hagan says, boo to all games requiring an internet connection and subscription to play. Dun, da, da, da. Yeah, it was a sassy eye roll. It was a bit of a sassy eye roll. I get it. Sony has also said that moving forward, Bungie wants to turn its games into multimedia franchises, such as movies, etc., which that completely aligns with what Sony wants to do for the future. So, I mean, Sony's been looking to take all their IP into multimedia franchises for years, and we're now finally seeing those plans come to light with the Uncharted film. But so it seems like Sony and Bungie are on the very, very same page as far as we make the money and do all the things, live service games, movies, you know, and it could end up being very successful, and it certainly seems like a good way to go in the future. Chris Driffle says live service games are cool. However, I want those Sony classic games with narrative. Yes, as long as we have all of them. Are We Dead Yet says that cup makes you look even smaller than you are. This is a massive teacup. It is a massive teacup. Yes. It's because I'm cold today. It's very windy out. Yeah, I like playing offline games. You know, I don't want to say just by myself, because a lot of times when I stream them, I feel like I'm playing with friends, but I don't like online competitive games, or even like Lost Ark is going to be a little tricky for me, because I'm really looking forward to that game, but I wish I could play it in a much more like kind of old school Baldur's Gate style, where I'm not running around with like a million other real life players. The unpredictability of having other people in my game gives me a little bit of pause, if you will. But that's just me. That's me being like an old-fashioned gamer shaking my fist at the sky on my front porch. So I totally get that. Malice J says that Uncharted movie I'm trying to be optimistic for. I am also trying to be optimistic for the Uncharted movie. You know, we shall see. We shall see what happens. Shadex, yes, this is a Link dress, actually. It's a Hyrulean dress. It's got a shield on the back and everything. I was showing it off a little earlier on Twitch and Amazon stream. Thank you for noticing. Okay, so to Jenny's comment earlier about all of these acquisitions happening and being a little bit worried about the majors monopolizing things in the space, the FTC, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, will reportedly be taking the reins on the Microsoft intended acquisition of Activision Blizzard. And so they will have to then review to determine whether the near $70 billion deal, it's so much, could harm consumers or rivals or partners, and they will have to determine that. So on the same day that Microsoft announced the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, the Justice Department and FTC announced their plans to rewrite merger guidelines, warning that U.S. industries had become increasingly concentrated. And they were saying, you know, this type of monopolizing could lead to price rises, lower wages, less competition overall, which, you know, could be very awful for consumers and for all of us. Now, the Wall Street Journal had previously reported that the FTC is particularly concerned with big tech companies like Microsoft, in particular, not just for like video game mergers, of course, but for other big tech industry stuff as well, like Amazon, Apple, etc. And the FTC has recently sued to block two mergers, NVIDIA's purchase of ARM and Lockheed Martin's takeover of a rocket engine manufacturer. Now, a legal expert did weigh in and I think tell IGN, I was reading, that they don't think the FTC is likely to nix the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger. They don't think that they will rule that they're breaking antitrust laws or anything like that, but how do you feel about it? I know, Jenny, in chat, you expressed a little bit of hesitation, but do you think that the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger, or acquisition, excuse me, could hurt consumers, rivals, and partners? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Jenny weighs in and says, multimedia franchising is an interesting concept, but A, if you need to consume a book, game, film, and series to understand continuity, that is daunting. And B, the best games are games first, best movies are movies first, and the understand the limits and benefits of the genre and medium. Yes, that is all true when it comes to representing across various media, for sure. Jeff Dumas says, I think antitrust action has been backsliding for decades, and it probably needs a correction. Yes, I agree. Steven Summers says, I just hope it benefits the Blizzard employees. Yes, I could not agree with that more. I hope that it helps right some of the wrongs, or at least fix moving forward some of the wrongs that we've seen with Activision Blizzard. I have a lot of friends who work at Activision Blizzard in a variety of different roles, and I would love to see them feel like they have a supported, healthy work environment. Jimmy says competition is always helpful in my opinion, but only time will tell. Mikey510 says, just as long as Microsoft cleans house and I can play Blizzard games in good conscience, I'll be happy, Monopoly or not. I would also love to jump back into Diablo 2 and not feel guilty about it. I agree. And I would love to love BlizzCon again. BlizzCon always had the best cosplay. Oliver says, is that a capture card plugged into your laptop? This is an Elgato Cam Link, which is kind of like a capture card, but for your camera. So that's how I'm getting my nice camera feed into the stream out to you guys. Michael Lalonde, I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you for dropping by the stream, my friend. Beardtastic Yogi says, I want the acquisition to go through just to get rid of the toxic execs in that company. Hashtag protect the workers. They need to give Bobby Kotick the boot. I think everyone feels that way. And you know, if this is the way to do it, I think everyone is a little bit more okay with that. But yeah, I mean, in general, monopolizing might be good in the short term as far as, you know, all these games are now going to be available on Game Pass. Yay for us Game Pass subscribers. But in the long term, if Microsoft's the only game in town, Game Pass could cost a fortune. You know, people could not have competitive wages. There could be a slew of problems if there's no competition. Or maybe not. We don't know. It's all speculation. Moving on. Speaking of acquisitions, I know we've kind of joked around about Nintendo buying Sega. But Nintendo, here's what Nintendo had to say on their own acquisitions now that Microsoft and Sony are kind of head to head. Nintendo is not ruling out game company acquisitions, but isn't interested in them at this time. They said they are putting more priority on building existing game development DNA. So Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa says, our brand was built upon products crafted with dedication by our employees, and having a large number of people who don't possess Nintendo DNA in our group would not be a plus to the company. Okay. Well, I mean, that is very specific about having faith in your employees and only your employees. Last year, Nintendo announced plans to invest up to 100 billion yen in its development studios. And the last developer that Nintendo purchased, just as like a fun fact, was Next Level Games in January 2021. Next Level had been working with Nintendo for quite a few years before that purchase, meaning it was very likely seen as having that correct Nintendo DNA prior to that purchase. Yay, Nintendo, says Daniel Casaban. Michael Lalonde, I was having a lot of fun with Dying Light 2 when I was playing it a couple days ago. Thomas says Nintendo should buy Sony. Oh, man. I think Beardtastic Yogi hit the nail on the head when you said Nintendo gonna Nintendo. Just let them do their own thing. I mean, yes. Nintendo gonna Nintendo. 100%. 100%. Now, if they could give Pokemon a graphics upgrade. I mean, Nintendo's thing has never really been the graphics, to respond to that, Stephen Summers. It's not really their jam. They don't need it to be the highest hardware, best looking, most frames per second game. They are in it for the love of the gameplay. And I respect that. And I like that that differentiates Nintendo from Microsoft and Sony in that regard. You know, and especially Microsoft having PC gaming in the fold can be very, very like spec heavy and hardware intensive. And Sony's always been very like story driven and emotional software type of games. And then Nintendo's just like, we just want you to have fun playing it. Huzzah! And so it's good. I feel like they each have their own personality, and that's why I'm not a console elitist for any one brand. Play what you enjoy playing. Speaking of not being a console elitist, the Nintendo Switch, we're going to talk about some console sales. Nintendo Switch has become the fastest home console to sell 100 million units and has now outsold the Nintendo Wii, which no one's surprised that the Switch outsold the Wii, of course. In fact, the PS5 has already outsold the Wii, the Wii U. I guess we can be surprised that the Switch outsold the Wii, The PS5 has already outsold the Wii U, which is not a surprise. And the PS5 has already outsold the Wii U, only being available for 1 year and having all the hardware shortages. I mean, that's just true. That's just true. So the lifetime sales of the Nintendo Switch is 103.54 million units as of December 2021. And Sony revealed that over 17.3 million PS5s were sold as of December 2021, whereas the Wii U in its entire lifetime only reached 13.56 million sales, which I'm saying only and millions, and this is all, of course, relative. But I think we could all agree that the Wii U was maybe a less popular console for Nintendo. But I thought this was interesting. The best-selling consoles of all time. Guess in chat. What do you think was the ultimate best-selling console of all time? Don't Google it. Guess. I want to see what you think. Who bought a Wii U? We had one at the SourceFed offices. And the Switch did actually outsell the Wii. Yeah. Beertastic Yogi and Christopher Groningen, hi! You both guessed it correctly right away with PS2. So the PlayStation 2 is the best-selling console to date of all time. The Nintendo DS is the second best-selling console. Game Boy and Game Boy Color coming in at number 3, and the PS4 coming in 4th place as far as best-selling of all time. Microsoft does not release official sales numbers for its consoles, so we can't really judge. That's why Microsoft and none of their consoles are on that list. We could take a stab at where they are, maybe. Where do you think that any of the Microsoft consoles fall in that? So it's PS2, Nintendo DS, Game Boy Color, and PS4. But I'm sure Microsoft, I'm sure the Xbox and Xbox 360 and Xbox One definitely fall in there somewhere. Rob K says, I still own my old PS2. Mikey510 thinks number 1 on console sales. And Steven brings up a great point. Microsoft doesn't really care about hardware anymore. They got that Game Pass money. Well, that's true now, but not for the previous generations. Beertastic says, I bet the 360 is up there. I would also agree that the 360 is probably up there. But yeah, we just don't know because they don't release it. They don't release it. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where the current gen, meaning Xbox Series X and S and PS5, we'll see where they land in all of this. But I just think it's interesting. Food for thought. Yeah. Jimmy Sprinkles says the first Xbox was pretty popular, maybe 4, and the 360. Yes, I would agree. What is Super Nintendo? I don't know. I only got the top 4 in my research for today's happy hour. But yeah, it's very interesting. Mikey510 says, with Game Pass, every Windows machine and Android phone is a Microsoft console, and ain't that the truth? And then that throws everybody's numbers right out the window, doesn't it? It sure does. It sure does. All right, speaking of Microsoft, let's talk about that Halo TV series trailer. I don't know if y'all saw it. I thought it looked good. I think I was going into the idea that we were getting a Halo TV series being very skeptical. I was very, very skeptical of what the Flood and the Covenant and the Banished, I'm very skeptical of what everybody would look like. But at least the parts I saw of it so far, I was like, hey, that looks good. The only thing that sat a little weird with me is Chief's voice. So I'm so used to hearing Master Chief voiced by the same voice actor. And in the live action series, it's a different voice. They got Cortana's voice just fine. They got the voice actress who plays Cortana, which was very exciting. A lot of us know her. But she may not look like how Cortana looks in the games exactly, but it's her voice. It's exactly her voice. Whereas Chief, who's really just the voice, because he's got a helmet on all the time, was not the voice. I don't know. And I understand that there have been various voice actors for Chief in other iterations of the Halo games. But to me, that felt like it will take a little getting used to. Would love to hear your thoughts. You haven't seen the trailer? Look it up. Barry in Annotation says, yeah, the Master Chief voice threw me a little bit too. Lonely Production says Cortana got some backlash. Why? Because visually not exactly what people were expecting to see. David Hayter had other jobs, says Star True. Maybe that's why we couldn't get. Oh, Christopher Groningen says, I hear Chief's going to take off his helmet, and that's why it's not Steve Downes. Interesting. Mr. Yasman, we are talking about the Halo TV series trailer that came out. I will say, skeptical going in, I was pleasantly surprised when I saw the trailer, and I was like, okay, this could be good. Just so you know, if you haven't been following this, the Halo TV series is supposed to come out late March of this year on Paramount Plus. And it's a live action Halo. So, I mean, a lot of the stuff that's kind of the fantasy elements of Halo, we were all like, live action though? Gonna do that? But like I said, I was surprised. It looked better than I thought it was going to. We got to see in the trailer many of the Covenant enemies, including elites, brutes, and jackals. So we got to see all of those in the trailer and did not look bad. We also saw an energy sword, a plasma pistol, a warthog, a pelican. And again, it all looks pretty good. Now this series is going to have a separate, I believe the story of the series will not be canon to the video games. I think there'll be separate canons, which is interesting. And yeah, Jen Taylor, who is the voice of Cortana in the games, is playing Cortana in the series. So I think that's cool. Took It Home to Jenny says, I'm going to wait for reviews. Hashtag been burned before, and I totally understand that. Brian Wagner says, as a huge fan of Halo, this looked rather lukewarm. I'm excited to see it, but I won't be paying for a subscription service just for the Halo show. Think that's totally valid. And I am a huge fan of the Halo games as well. I'm a big fan of the Halo lore, which probably seems kind of weird, but I mean, I obviously got into the lore from the games, but for me, the gameplay of Halo excelled when there was local co-op. Now that there's not local co-op, I'm like, action shooters are not necessarily my favorite. But I love the story so much that I'll get through them. I'll just put it on like easy difficulty or something and get through them. Because I want the story. I want to know what's going on. Shade EX says, if I remember correctly, David Hayter is doing a System Shock TV series. Okay. And Barry Annotation says, love Halo lore, right? It's so good. It's so good. Have I finished Infinite's campaign? No, I have not finished Infinite's campaign yet. And you said you hear it's co-op. I think it's, can you do online co-op on Infinite but not local? I think that's the case. Or is there no co-op yet on Infinite? Christopher said co-op needs to come to Infinite. I haven't been playing Infinite a lot, so I don't know what updates have been coming to it recently. Star says the story of this was before the games from the beginning. The story of the series won't be co-op till May. Thank you, Barry, in annotation. Got it. No co-op yet. Thank you for that. All right, quick hits news. GTA 6 is confirmed to be in development, finally. Rockstar has confirmed they're working on a new Grand Theft Auto game, and it is well underway. Whatever that means, take it for what you will. Previous reports have said that the initial version of GTA 6 could be smaller, with updates used to build on it over time. And there have been other reports that say that GTA 6 will return to a Miami-inspired Vice City type setting. But some people that are like well on that rumor think that there's even hints in the GTA trilogy remaster of like screenshots of what could be the GTA 6 game. So interesting if you're a GTA fan. Also, Infinity Ward takes on Call of Duty 2022. I saw some people talking about Call of Duty a little earlier. But to maintain Call of Duty's annual release cycle, Activision rotates its development between 3 different developers, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer, with other studios lending support where they can. And Infinity Ward's official Twitter confirmed that a new generation of Call of Duty is coming soon. Stay frosty. So there we go. So this could mean, the Stay Frosty comment could mean that Infinity Ward is working on a sequel in the Modern Warfare series. Maybe. And leaks did previously suggest that the next Call of Duty would be a Modern Warfare sequel, and that there are many studios hard at work on it, which is cool. Let's see. I hope they keep going with the Modern Warfare campaign, says Steven. Well, I think that's what most people are expecting at this point. All right, the DICE Awards are coming up, and they've announced that Phil Spencer, our very own Xbox P3, Phil Spencer is going to receive the Lifetime Achievement Award at the DICE Awards this year. Yay! I just think it's super well deserved. When you've been working for a very long time in the industry and made as many major changes to the face of console gaming as I feel like Phil Spencer has been responsible for over the years, I feel like that is a well-deserved pick. The DICE Awards will be in February in Las Vegas. And this is the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences Lifetime Achievement Awards. Congratulations to Phil. Square Enix teased a little bit more Final Fantasy VII recently. So there are more Final Fantasy VII spin-offs on the way, according to the game's creative director, Tetsuya Nomura. And the comments were made in a statement that was celebrating Final Fantasy VII's 25th anniversary. No word on what these new projects are, but they'll come alongside the already announced sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake. ShadeX says, whoops, I did misremember David Hayter is actually doing American McGee's Alice series, not System Shock. Okay, thank you for that update. Levistus D2, thank you so much for the super chat and supporting the channel. Appreciate you, my friend. And I think the only other bit of news I had that I wanted to chat about today was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been delayed. I think that game, the visuals in that game look so fun. And I know when I came out on Twitter and was like, this game looks so fun, everyone like tried to rip me a new butt because it's Twitter. And you know, people love to hate on things on Twitter. But they were like, we didn't even see any gameplay. How can you be like, it looks good? I was like, it looks fun. Even if they're just the cinematics look fun. I like these characters. I like the Suicide Squad. Let me like things, okay? Don't poop in my soup. But anyway, it's Rockstar's next DC game, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and it has now been delayed until 2023. It's been pushed back a year after initially announcing that it would release sometime in 2022. That's not going to happen now. And it's a Warner Brothers game. But Warner Brothers Games in general is gearing up for several releases this year, including Hogwarts Legacy, which is probably going to bomb. Maybe it will be awesome, but it's probably going to bomb just based on the fact that J.K. Rowling is so J.K. Rowling. And Lego Star Wars, which will hopefully be very fun. Yeah, for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, it will have been 8 years since Rocksteady last released a video game, since Arkham Knight was released in 2015, which does not sound like that long ago, but it'll be 8 years by the time Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League come out. Isn't that wild? That's wild. That's wild. Don't poop in my soup needs to be on a shirt. There you go. New merch idea. We'll make it happen. We will make it happen. And yes, Beer-Tastic Yogi, it's the Rocksteady game that I'm talking about. Steven says, you think it will bomb? I think Hogwarts Legacy will encounter a lot of issues because J.K. Rowling has become such a controversial figure. And instead of like trying to like just be mellow for a little bit, she constantly goes harder. Anytime she's in the spotlight for something controversial, she just like doubles down. And I, in general, do not think that will be good for game sales. But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it'll be like the most popular game ever. Steven says, I think the Harry Potter brand can survive her. It's a cool game. Fingers crossed you are correct. Took it home to Jenny says, Harry Potter is a franchise. The original books and films are a part of my childhood. Everything else, I get that. I did not see the play, but I heard it was very mediocre from people that did see it. And yes, same feelings on Fantastic Beasts from a lot of people are kind of like, And Steven says, WB is trying to distance J.K. Rowling from Harry Potter. I know a lot of the companies that have licensed the Harry Potter license are trying to distance from J.K. Rowling as much as they can because she's so controversial. But we shall see what happens. We shall see. We're all just speculating. We are all just speculating. Lack of Words says, I always feel weird when people can't enjoy the art apart from the artist. I think where that gets hard for people, and I'm just weighing in, I don't know for everybody, I don't know everyone's reasoning, but I think where that gets hard for people is if they feel like them enjoying the art is putting money in the artist's pocket, and if they feel like they don't want to support that person and the things that that person supports by giving them money, because you could, I guess, then argue that that person could use that money to donate to things that are against your personal beliefs, and I think that's where it gets a little murky as far as differentiating the art from the artist. But like for me, I already have all the Harry Potter books purchased. I have had them all purchased for years, so do I feel bad reading them? No, like the stuff I've already purchased. But, you know, could I maybe argue that I would not want to buy a video game if J.K. Rowling got a cut of all of that? That argument, I think, is a little different, if that makes sense. That's just my thoughts on it. I do not know if that's everybody else's motivation or what, but that's kind of where my brain goes when people have the art separate from the artist conversation for any of them. Odyssey Dave says, Fantastic Beasts is so boring. Oh, no. I mean, I thought it was fine. It wasn't great. It was fine. I like Eddie Redmayne as an actor. Okay. DJ David says that Halo TV show, I'm going to pass on that, Trisha, and I've probably played them all. You are? What didn't you like about it? I would love to know. Jack Fair says, personally, I have an easier time retaining joy for something I liked before I found out the associated person was a jerk. You said was trash. Afterwards, I tend to skip over new stuff. Yeah, that's kind of, I get that. Steven says, I don't care about the next Beasts movie. But yeah, DJ David, let me know what you didn't like about the Halo TV series trailer, just because I'd like to know. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. But anyway, I hope everyone had a wonderful work week and is like gearing up for a fun weekend. I meant to announce this earlier on the Twitch stream, and I will definitely put it in the Discord. I know I have it on my schedule that's on the Discord so far, but there will be no Sunday stream this Sunday and no Twitch Gong Show this Tuesday. This week's Twitch Gong Show will be on Wednesday instead of Tuesday because I don't want to skip a Gong Show because I have a lot of great indie games and indie devs that are like excited to show their stuff, which is so awesome. So Gong Show will be on Wednesday, but Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday I will be on studio for 2 different jobs, which is exciting. Things are going on studio again. Sunday and Monday, I will be getting ready for a big event that I'm hosting for Lost Ark on Monday night on the Crown channel, which will be awesome. And then on Monday, I'm beginning work on the big Alienware update that I'm hosting with Maud Garrett on Friday the 11th. So we have to shoot some stuff ahead of time for it. So we'll be doing that on Tuesday the 8th. So lots of cool work, but it is going to disrupt my streaming schedule a bit. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. And yes, like I said, I will keep all of the Discord schedule updates up to date so that you know what's going on. And sometimes the Twitch scheduler gets a little weird. Like I'll input my Twitch schedule and then it'll move stuff around. So always go to the Discord schedule for the most accurate, but I'll try to keep the Twitch schedule up to date as well. It will be nice to be back in person, Jenny. All of the sets are super COVID safe. Every set I have been on through this has been requiring testing and all sorts of precautionary measures. So I can feel safe being there, but it'll just be nice to see other creatives again. Let's see. Oh no, Shade X says we had to cancel tomorrow's concert band, got COVID, sadly. Speedy recovery to them. Yes, speedy recovery to them indeed. Kelly says, will you break some Alienware stuff? I hope I don't break it. And Steven says, I just always check Discord. That is perfect. Carlo S says, Cortana was not blue enough in the trailer. You know what? There it is. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad someone said it. No, I thought she looked fine, but I am respectful of everyone's dissenting opinions. This is the one place on the internet I encourage you to have different opinions and open dialogue as opposed to just like, meh, we don't all agree on everything. Internet. Let's not do that. I promise this tea is not spiked. I think I'm just sassy today. I don't know what's going on. Carrie Edwards says, can we have a virtual hug? Virtual hugs to everybody. Sorry, my teacup is so large. It's taking things over. But thank you all so much for tuning into today's Dragonrider Happy Hour. I'm a little bummed that I won't get to see everybody until Wednesday of next week. So yes, hang out in the Discord. I will keep you posted on everything that's happening. And through my fun adventures, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I will try to post on the socials and all that, Twitter and Instagram, and give you a little sneak peek into all the cool stuff I'm doing because it should be really fun. All right, thank you everybody so much for watching. You are amazing. Stay safe, stay healthy, be kind to one another, enjoy your drink, and cheers. Bye, TGIF.